Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence, Convergence, Unity and Peace. And this week we are going to have an ongoing series with my dear friend Michael Reccia from the UK, who is a trans medium who brought through the Joseph Communications, a very amazing series of 8 books, basically dictated from the other side, but Michael gets to claim authorship. But anyway, let me tell you a little bit about Michael. He has worked as a spirit medium for nearly 40 years. In his early days, he was using his gift to deliver messages at regular church services and spiritualist churches throughout the UK. He would hold lectures, workshops, and he also did something called remote postal readings that required him to sit in an empty room with nothing more than a photograph of the sitter and then listen for messages that were given to him for that person. He evolved. In 2005, Michael forged a conscious link with Joseph and began to bring through the Joseph Communications. Initially, the association was a clairvoyant and clairaudient experience. However, during the dictation of the second book, Revelations, the link developed into a deeper trance connection, with Michael completely vacating his body and mind during each communication session so that Joseph could take over his physical and mental facilities to deliver his addresses directly to the Band of Light. And the Band of Light consists of 4 people: Michael Reccia, his life partner Jane Keene, Tony, and David. And you'll learn more about them through these books, because at the end of each chapter, they asked Joseph questions. And that's what I love about these books. I can read the books, think I understand it, and then the Band of Light asks questions. I go like, why didn't I think of that? But anyway, Michael isn't comfortable with the word channeler. He feels that because he completely vacates his body, it's more accurate to say a trans medium. But he regards himself as a simple but spiritually disciplined conduit through which the messages of Joseph and the thoughts and observations of higher evolved spirit guides can come through. He views his life work as the promotion of the Joseph Communications mission and a pivotal contribution to the elevation of individual and global spiritual consciousness. When not in trance or recovering from one, which takes a bit, Michael loves Jane, mankind, his fellow Band of Light members, art, animals, eating out, film, model making, reading, and finding the time to occasionally pause and draw breath. So, Michael, welcome. And just give us a little, I know you're going to be with us all week. We're going to discuss 2 books per day. Just give us a little bit from your own perspective on this journey you're on and you're going to take us on.
Yes, as a medium, I found myself dissatisfied with only being able to address a small congregation at a time or one person at a time. And the messages that were coming through were valuable to that person, to that congregation. But I wanted to be able to address the world if possible. And I also wanted to know where the messages were coming from. I wanted to know the mechanics of mediumship. If we were receiving messages from higher vibrations, what are those higher vibrations like? What's it like to live there? What's it like to communicate from those vibrations to the earth? And I thought that on a couple of occasions that I would stop doing what I was doing, because doing reading after reading after reading was quite exhausting. And on a couple of occasions I thought, I've had enough. I can't do what I feel I need to do. And then the connection was made with Joseph and everything changed. Because Joseph had has a message for the whole of humanity. And also through his books explained what the spirit spheres are like, what our life is like beyond physical death, who and what we really are here, the things that we are capable of as the spirit people, as actually the angelic people that we really are, and how we can make a difference to this world and transform this world and each other through the transmission of light. And Joseph built the knowledge from one book to the next. He would prepare us and say, this is how something operates. Now I've told you how it operates. This is how it connects to point B, to point C, to point D. So there was a growth, an expansion of knowledge throughout the 8 books. And I then determined that that would be my life's mission, to make this information as widely available as I and the Band of Light possibly can.
Awesome. Thank you, Michael. And I do recommend that reading the books in order is really, it's like he builds you up. Everything leads to the next book. And so without any further ado, I think we should dive in and learn about this throughout this week. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Michael, for volunteering your time to be part of the Up Convergence, and we shall begin. Welcome, everyone. I'm so delighted to be here with my dear friend, Michael Reccia. And Michael has kindly agreed to share with us insights on all 8 of the books that he has brought through as a trance medium. And today he's going to be talking about the first book, Revelation, a book to change your world. So in this book, Joseph is a highly evolved spirit who's lived on this planet many times. And he invites us to understand and remember who and what we really are, where we came from, and why you're here, and the miraculous things that you are capable of achieving. So Michael has been doing this. This was the first book. Michael, when did this book come through? How long is this process?
It took about 2 years to bring it through. And the first book was brought through via clairvoyance. I hadn't at that point gone into trance. As we moved into the second book, Illumination, Joseph changed the way that he worked through me from clairvoyance so that I would be listening to his voice and recording the words that he'd said to me, repeating the words that he'd said to me, to a trance state where my mind and body were completely taken over by Joseph. I sidestepped. I walked out of my body and mind and allowed him to take over the house, take over the facilities, and transmit directly through me for the period of each communication, which was a pure form of communication. But the first book and half of the second book were brought through via clairvoyant means, whereby I would sit with a tape recorder, I would link into Joseph, I would listen to what he was saying, and I would repeat what he was saying into the tape recorder.
Well, the questions that are that you deal with in this first book, I'm just going to recap them here. Remember who and what you really are. Now, I thought I was a farm girl from Maryland. I went to 8 years of Catholic school, and I wanted to grow up and wear one of those nice habits. So it was so refreshing to find these books. And I found them through a mutual friend, James Sorby of the White Eagle Lodge of the Americas, and another esoteric spiritual community. And I was so excited when I read this first book. I just had to have more. So tell us a little bit more of these are questions of the ages. And yes. I was hooked from the first one. So do share with our listeners more.
I mean, many of us travel through the journey of our life and never question what we are. We look in the mirror and think that that's what we are and that there's nothing more, and we simply accept. We accept society, we accept our role in society, and we don't think about anything beyond physical death. Half of the world is terrified of thinking about anything beyond physical death. And in the first book, we examine what we truly are, not this persona that we have as our viewpoint during this particular life, but what we truly are at core, beyond this physical life, beyond many physical lives that we've had. And we discover that we are spiritual people. We are spirit people. We are angelic in nature. And we have so much in the way of spiritual capability. And many people say, well, I've never exhibited any spiritual capability in my life. I can't fly. I can't pick up people's thoughts. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But none of that is relevant. What is relevant is that you act as a spirit person now. And you are operating as a spirit person and exhibiting those qualities of a spirit person every day of your life. For example, whatever you believe to be true, you bring towards yourself. Whatever you believe to be true, you contribute to the collective consciousness of humanity. So what do we believe to be true, most of us on earth? We believe that we grow old. We believe that we become ill. We believe that it's a negative world. We believe that there are things out there to fear. We believe that we are losing energy. We believe that there isn't enough for us on earth. And all those are dreams that we create on a daily basis. And so en masse, so many souls believe that the world is as it is, that it maintains itself as it is. And it becomes this negative, fearful place of lack that we all expect it to be. Now, what Joseph says in Revelation is that you can expect it to be something else. You are just turning your viewpoint over to a different angle. You're saying, I'm a spirit. Whatever I believe to be true, I create, because that's my nature as the angelic being that I truly am. So it is just as powerful to believe in, against what we see outside of ourselves, to believe in the better world that we all want, to believe in harmonious solutions to situations, to believe that we can heal, to believe that we can heal ourselves, to believe that we are connected to a divine source and can draw from that divine source all the energy, all the inspiration, all the insight that we need to travel through this world during our physical life successfully, harmoniously, lovingly, and respectful of each other, of all life, and of the planet. It is simply a change of mind, but it's also a change of mind from this mind, the head mind, to this mind, the heart mind. And this is where we really operate from, and we've forgotten it in the ages. Down the ages, we've forgotten it. We operate from here. Our heart center is where we truly live and have our consciousness. This mind enables us to react and take steps according to what is put in front of us physically. You know, if a tiger jumps out, we know that we've got to run.
Yeah.
But we live from the perspective of this mind. So we are always looking for tigers, we're always looking for fears, we're always looking for problems. The heart knows better. The heart knows that we are creative spirits. The heart knows that we can donate harmony to the world. The heart knows that there is nothing to be afraid of. And the heart knows that we are dreamers and can dream on behalf of humanity and can put into the field of consciousness of humanity a better dream.
Michael, was there ever a time on this planet that we did live this way?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we knew, that we understood who and what we are and
Absolutely.
what we're here to do?
Yes, yes. And that is what operates on other planets. This is how spirituality manifests itself, how angelic consciousness manifests itself on other planets. We know that we are on a journey. We know that it is only a journey. We know that we are not really totally involved in that journey. And we know that there is nothing to fear in ending that journey and going back home. So yes, and here was the same scenario millennia ago. But we'll approach that later in our discussions, because there is a whole book on the subject that Joseph dictated, actually transmitted in trance, called The Fall. Two words that have a huge meaning and a huge consequence on how we live life at the moment, and have lived life for thousands of years. So yes, there was a better time.
Well, I have read all of these books. They're actually, they just transformed my life. And one of the things that I feel that it freed me from was any sort of religion. What do you feel the role of religion has been on this planet?
I feel the role of religion, as with so many aspects of society, has been to subdue and control, has been to act as an intermediary between ourselves and the divine, as though ourselves and the divine are separated physically, as though we are here and the divine is somewhere else or on a higher vibration, and we need to have an intermediary who understands things that we don't, to intercede for us and to plug us in with them in the center between us and the source, the divine, to express our wishes to the divine. And then the intermediary brings back the wishes of the divine and translates them and gives them to us. Now, the big leap is that the divine is within us. Not only within us, but we are the divine. And that, from the point of view of many religions, is blasphemy. We are the divine, but everything is the divine. Everything. We are sat in two separate rooms, opposite sides of the world, but the rooms are part of the divine. There is no distance between us because we are connected. We are the same thing. And so the divine and religion are not the same thing. This is where many people become upset. You've had a Catholic background. I had a Catholic background. And we were taught to approach God, the divine, in a certain way. And that becomes a way that is offensive, eventually, for many people. And so when you mention God, they switch off. Don't want to know. God, no. Because they associate their image of God with the image of God that they've had thrust upon them by their religion.
Right.
God is nothing to do with religion. God exists despite religion, not because of it. And God is a term that I think we should reinvest in to understand that we are God. We are the divine. We are part of the creative mind, heart mind of the universe. And once you reestablish your connection with the divine, all else follows, because you look at this world in a completely different way. You look at it from a spiritual viewpoint. You see what is lacking and you understand how to put it right.
Wonderful. Michael, are there other teachers, like, as a Catholic, I learned a lot about Jesus, or I thought I learned a lot about Jesus.
Yeah.
But did Jesus tell us we were gods?
Absolutely. And Jesus said to us, what I'm doing, you can do. And you can do it better than I can. And that's what I've come here to teach you. So the Joseph message is not new. It exists with teachers that have come through to us at various stages in our history. And the reason that it is being repeated is that we haven't listened to it. People will say, well, it's not a new message. Of course it isn't. There's only one message. And that message flows through every spiritual teacher. You know, Jesus said, you've got to love each other. You've got to love all things. Do we love each other? Do we love all things? No, we don't. He said to us, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Do we do that? No, we don't. He said, I and the Father are one. And before he healed anybody, he would take a moment and connect via his heart to the divine within and allow that energy to flow. So it's a message of love, it's a message of harmony, it's a message of unity, and it's been ignored. And it's been ignored wherever it's been brought through. Joseph himself says that he has brought through this information at least twice before. At least twice. And he says, I don't want to bring it through again. I will if I have to, but I don't want to bring it through again because I've already brought it through, and you're at a pivotal point in your history now where you either ignore it at your peril or you embrace it and the world changes. So yes, there have been teachers throughout history that have brought through exactly the same message.
Well, Michael, you said you might have a reading from the book of Revelations. Would you have something that feels appropriate at this time to share, or would you want to chat some more? Or?
It's only a short extract.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Joseph's introduction to Revelation,
Okay.
where he's explaining what the book's about, what he intends to bring through within the book. And so he says, our group's intention with this book is to turn things on their heads and to bring an argument for light into the darkness, to demand nothing, to dictate nothing, to say, here is the book. It is your right to read it. It is your right not to read it. It is your right to reject it. It is your right to accept it in whole or in part. We advise you to read it. We want you to read it. And we invite those of you who do so to become workers for light and truth because of what the book says to you. Things must change. Let that be your motto. Let that be your daily outlook on life. Things must change. Things cannot continue in your world as they are. You are still killing each other. You are strangling the planet. And you are ignoring your spirituality, your source. You are dreamers and you don't know it. You are tied into the dream to the extent that you have forgotten your heritage. And I think that sums up what the book is about, to reconnect us to who and what we really are, not what we appear to be, and to expand our vision, because the spiritual vision is vast, is beyond the confines of the human body and the human mind. And we're part of that. We can reconnect to that vision. And it's a vision of bliss in creativity. It's a vision of love. It's a vision of unity. And these are not just words. When I connect to Joseph and his soul group and the messengers that come from a higher vibration, there is such a sublime feeling of peace and permanence that you don't feel here. And coming back down after a trance session, the vibrations here are so heavy, so dense, so negative, and they needn't be that way. That truth of that higher vibration is within us now, but we have to let it out. We have to acknowledge it, work with it, and let it out. And of course, one of the major messages of Joseph's books is that we have a source of divine light within us. And that light energy can be channeled into the world. And wherever it is applied, it promotes harmony. It dispels negativity. It gives souls, not through coercion, but through suggestion, the opportunity to look within themselves and to find that divine light within them too. And therefore to adopt a more harmonious way of life. And if they are controlling people or terrifying people or violent towards people, if they connect with the light, they suddenly see that that's not the way to do it. There's no judgment, but that's not the way to do it. There is a different way to do it in the light that helps and loves everyone and everything, doesn't harm, doesn't destroy, doesn't control.
Michael, I've heard some people say, well, we only need to get this percentage, 1% of the population. So that's only this amount of number of people that could change everything on the planet. Does Joseph offer any kind of mathematics like that?
Many of the speakers who have come through in the Joseph books and in many Voices One Mission, which is a Joseph book that features other voices other than Joseph's, part of his soul group, have said one person working for the light is the equal of 1,000 working for the darkness. So the light is a very, very powerful source because it's what we are. Light energy is our tool as the creative spirits that we really are. But we have forgotten that. We have chosen to ignore that. And so, yes, if a percentage, a small percentage of the global population, the global family, reinvested in who they were, reinvested in channeling out the light daily on behalf of others, then things would change. One person sending out the light has an effect. That light always has an effect. But obviously, the more of it that there is, the more that the light pervades those situations that are harmful to us and changes those situations. Now, it doesn't change by saying, you must do this. It is not a lecturing light. It is a light that provides illumination. It is a light that allows souls to see clearly. And it is a light that needs to be sent out to all souls. We will each have portions of society that we don't like, that we feel are making the wrong decisions, that we feel are harming us. But Joseph says, and Jesus said, and other teachers have said, no, you love them. And the reason why you love them and send light to them is that when you send light to them, you amplify the light that they have within their own hearts, so that that light becomes the strongest aspect of them, and they begin to remember who they are and to act accordingly. If you send out anger towards those that you feel are destructive and restrictive with regards to humanity, you reinforce their position. Because you are saying, yes, they are restrictive. Yes, they are destructive. Yes, they are doing something wrong. And you're reinforcing those aspects of themselves that allow them to continue in that manner. If you send the light instead, you are saying, I don't see that about you at all. I embrace our oneness. I embrace that connection that you have within you that is me, that is the divine. I love it, I embrace it, I put my arms of light around you, and I give you a breathing space in the light to consider what you're doing. And if you feel that you are doing something that you shouldn't be doing anymore, then you have the opportunity in the light to change and become part of the light force yourself.
Wonderful. I do try to remember that, as these are challenging times.
Absolutely, they are. Absolutely.
You know, to remember those, and I just say, I think they forgot who they are. And as I forgot who I am for the vast majority of my life, but I don't think it's ever too late to change the course.
No,
and that's
the reason we've forgotten is because of the fall. It's because of what went wrong, which again we're going to discuss later.
right.
But we're not sent here to forget. We come here, and because of the vibrations that we put into the collective field of human consciousness, they dampen our connection to our spirituality. They put curtains across our consciousness, between our consciousness and our spiritual consciousness. So we have to dig.
Okay, get the backhoe out. Well, Michael, we've been talking a lot about light, and so I think this will be a great moment to segue to the second book in the series, Illumination.
Yes. Yes.
And Illumination, did this come through? Now, this is the first one that was fully tranced, or?
It was partial trance. Partway through, Joseph took me into trance. There were a couple of instances where I was taken into trance as a test by members of the soul group. I did a couple of trance addresses in front of an audience. One was taken by a gentleman we call the Persian gentleman.
Oh, yes.
He delivered a message for all humanity, which again we can talk about later. And the other was a gentleman we called the Big Indian. And we call him the Big Indian because he was an Indian in one of his lifetimes, and he was big. These descriptions for these spirits are ours. They're not theirs. They're not theirs. Because they don't need names at their point of evolution. They are known by the light that they give off.
So they can pick a persona that they would like to share with us?
Yes, yes. Knowing that that persona is one of many that they have had. One of many appearances that they have had. But it is one that they share with us, and perhaps they are comfortable with as well. You know, it's only a suit of clothes.
Well, if they have like say the big Indian decided today I'm going to come in as the big cowboy, would his vibration, would you recognize him by his vibration?
Yes.
It really doesn't matter what the persona is.
No, they have a vibrational signature. But as
we all do, right?
Yes, we do. Yeah. And that's instantly recognizable and instantly readable if we've come to a certain stage of our spiritual evolution. So yes, I know if somebody else came in, for example, and said, I'm the Persian gentleman, I'd say, no, you're not. Because that vibration would be different. That signature would not be there. And it's like recognizing somebody's face, but you're recognizing that face on a vibrational level, and you know that who you're talking to is who they say they are, who they say you're talking to.
Wouldn't that solve a lot of problems on this planet if we did recognize each other by our frequency instead of by the color of our skin? Or
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But we also do this on occasion in that sometimes we feel very embarrassed about it. But when we meet somebody new and they haven't said a word and we haven't said a word, we instantly feel I harmonize with this person or I don't harmonize with this person.
Sure.
Because there is at the spiritual level, there is this connection or disconnection according to whether the two vibrational signatures harmonize, whether they are compatible. But we feel terrible afterwards. So I didn't like that person. You know, what you're not liking is the disconnect, is the fact that they are on one path, you are on another path, and for the time being, those two paths don't successfully merge together.
Gotcha. Well, I did take us a little astray from the Illumination, the book there. Reveal the power to transform yourself and the planet. So that just sounds like a delicious topic to me. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and expound a little bit about what the reader would learn, and be, you know, I think it's more about the vibration that is the Joseph Group communicates through this book, and how that helps us.
When we started with Revelation, I thought that was the only book that we would end up publishing.
Really?
But at the end of every book, or partway through each book, Joseph would say, there's another book. And very cleverly, Joseph would expand on the knowledge from one book to the next book. And he would prepare us for a set of spiritual truths, and having delivered those, would then build on those truths to deliver the next set of truths. So there is a progression, there is an arc through the 8 books. The second book was a matter of Joseph saying, I've told you who you are. What are you going to do with it? In other words, you now know that you're a spirit. You now know that you're a creative being. You now know that you're part of the divine. And you must know that the world is in a sorry state, and that people are in a sorry state vibrationally.
Right.
What are you going to do about it? I can help you there. And so he brought through a number of meditations to enable us to gain power in sending out the light. And he explained more about the light that we are able to send out, and explained how to send it out, how to draw it from the heart center, how to stream it out into the world, and how to do that without prejudice, without judgment, without directing it necessarily to an area where you want it to go to. In other words, you send it out and it goes to where it is most needed. And explained more about what we've been discussing with regard to why the light is so effective and necessary in rescuing those souls that at the present time have strayed down a path that is detrimental to their own progress and to the progress of everyone else and life on this planet, and to the planet itself. Joseph includes the planet in Illumination as the spirit that it is. Not everyone recognizes that the planet is a spirit. And
absolutely. If we did, we wouldn't treat it this way, right?
Sorry, no?
I said we wouldn't treat the planet this way if we recognize it as a spirit. I'm sorry, I broke your train of thought there.
No, not at all. We wouldn't. The planet gives us life here. allows us to live here in this spacesuit that we've got on, gives us everything that we need, and we treat it dreadfully. The extension of that is that all life here is spiritual. All life here is part of the divine, and that we need to have respect for all forms of life. I remember many years ago, as I was developing as a medium, sitting out in the garden at the back of my home, and a gentleman turned up, a guiding influence, and said, I want you to look at the fence that separated the garden from the garden next door. I said, okay. So I looked at the fence, and I said, yep, it's a fence. And he said, no, really look at the fence. And so I looked at it, and I opened my spiritual vision, and I could see a bluish-white energy coursing through every wooden section of the fence. Now, he said, look at the grass. So I looked at the lawn, and with psychic eyes saw the same energy coursing through every blade of grass. Now, he said, look at the paving stones that form the path down the center of the garden. So I looked at the paving stones, and I saw the same energy in those. Now, he said, look at your hands. So I looked at my hands, and I saw the same energy in my hands. And they were resting on my knees as I sat on a bench in the garden. And I could see the same energy coursing through my legs. And he stood there and showed me that everything is one. Everything has the divine flowing through it. And this is something that Joseph focuses on in Illumination. The fact that we're all part of the same thing. Mm-hmm. So if I love me, I'm loving you. If I love you, I'm loving you and everyone else. I'm loving the planet. I'm loving all life. Mm-hmm. And we have to treat our experience here in oneness. And it becomes easier then to send out the light to those souls who are perhaps straying a little away from the light. Mm-hmm. Because we recognize them as family. We recognize that they are part of us. And we recognize that we all got into this together. We all created this current situation. We all have to get out of it together.
Right. That's a wonderful thing. You know, you just spoke of this seeing the divine, and I have a dear friend who had a near-death experience. Actually, he had two. And he spoke of that exact same thing, where he would say he looked around and the wood looked, the wood in the room looked alive. Everything looked alive. Yes. And, you know, I just feel that, you know, I wonder what a lot of people also talk about self-love, and that how do you send out light? Does in an illumination, do they speak very much about how to brighten your own light and, you know, so that you have more to send out? Because self-love is what, you know, when I see people do some very hurtful things, myself included, sometimes I go like, well, that wasn't coming from love. And, you know, they don't remember that they are love. Yeah. And so how does Joseph address that in Illumination?
Well, he points out that we're very hard on ourselves. It might seem that we've got a very stern teacher through what we've said thus far, but not at all. That's not what Joseph is saying. Mm-hmm. He's saying that we accumulate an awful lot of baggage as we travel through life. Mm-hmm. And we, again, because we will discuss the fall later on, but because of the fall, the vibrations that we create are not perfect vibrations. We cannot assemble them, as it were, around ourselves and get rid of them as we would if we were operating on an angelic level. And so the situations that have occurred to us, have happened around us years ago, we still drag around with us, and they layer around us like the skins of an onion, thicker and thicker and thicker, until we choose, through some of the exercises in the book, to let go of them, to realize that we are love, that some of the things that we punish ourselves for repeatedly, mentally, physically, are learning experiences. And having learned from them, it is pointless in continuing to condemn ourselves and to restrict ourselves because of what we see as mistakes in the past that we have carried through into the present and are still living through. And so there are exercises in the book to let go of that baggage and to free ourselves so that more of the light that is in our heart can infuse our bodies, make us healthier, make us happier, and make us more effective as the light workers that we can become to make everyone else healthier, happier, and more harmonious.
Fabulous. Michael, did you have a reading that you was selected out of Illuminations you'd like to share?
Yes.
I hope.
Yes, again, something that that appeared to be relevant. And so Joseph says in the chapter, Finding Your Peace Within, you are running out of time, ladies and gentlemen. You are running out of time. And I pray that the examples of how to change things within this book are considered and used, because each soul that reunites itself with the God within becomes a point of light, a point of energy for the world to combat the dominant vibrations of the field. My peace be with you. My existence is within a sphere, although sphere is perhaps the wrong word, is within a sea of peaceful vibration. Am I at peace? No, because I am concerned about your world, about the earth. I am concerned about the souls on the earth, about you. I am concerned that the planet and its peoples get back on track, that they permeate, that you permeate your physical reality with enough light to sustain yourselves, to sustain the planet, and to sustain a new way of thinking. There is an urgency to what we do. We cannot, as part of you, as part of God, turn our backs on the situation. And we feel on our higher vibration the effects of your dominant vibrations upon the earth and upon each other. This is why we come back constantly to attempt to change things. There is greater urgency with us as time goes on your level of consciousness. You do not have an infinite number of tomorrows in which to put things right. You have to begin now.
Wow, that's pretty urgent.
It is. It is, yes. Yeah,
And
many of the things that Joseph spoke about in the books hadn't happened when the books were published, but have happened now.
Oh, really? Can you give an example of one?
Well, the state of the world, the things that were coming up. Joseph has said in all of the books that we don't have an infinite number of tomorrows in which to put things right. Mm-hmm. And he would never consolidate. People would ask him at the public trance demonstrations that we did, how long have we got left, Joseph, unless we change? And he said, I won't tell you, because if I tell you, you will consolidate it and you will bring it into being. But he mentioned in all the books, and it became an increasingly frequent theme, that we only had 2 or 3 generations left if we didn't change, if we didn't start putting the light in. And I think we can see this year that turning point, that pivotal point is upon us.
Right.
And I think that people feel helpless in the current situations and challenges, but they're not. They can be standing on a street corner, or they can be sitting at home, and they are powerful points for the light. And as Joseph said, and we said earlier, one person working for the light is the equal of 1,000 who are working for a lack of light.
Well, one thing that I know that you're doing with your group, and I bring this up because I know everyone is welcome, is that you are having global light meditation services. Would you tell us something about that?
Yes, 3 times a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and there are times given on our Facebook pages for the UK and the US. We gather together in spirit. We don't have to be together physically. Gather together from around the globe to send out the light, unconditionally, without judgment, to change things, to combat current conditions and to put right what is so obviously wrong at this time. So we do that for a quarter of an hour during 4 points on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Because, of course, people can also do that any day, any time. But it's a focal point for people who wish to come together.
And do you think there's more power in people doing it together? I'm part of a group meditation daily, and I could do it myself, but do you think there is more power when people gather together?
Yes, it's the same principle that operates when, for example, the Band of Light, the four of us, sit to bring through Joseph. Mm-hmm. I'm the one that goes into trance, but the four of us sit to build energy, and each of us acts like a separate battery connected together. And so if you have 100 people, 1,000 people, you've got 1,000 batteries. That's a lot of power.
That's a lot of power.
And I think people also feel comforted to know that they are meditating and sending out light at the same time as others who are like-minded. Mm-hmm. So there's a sense of community, a sense of family.
Wonderful. Well, before we close today, I want to let people know that we will be, we'll be talking about 2 more books tomorrow, Your Life After Death and The Fall. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it seems to me they each deserve their own day. But it'll be a fabulous conversation. And Michael, I want everyone to know how they can get a hold of you. I know that you have a website, thejosephcommunications.com. You're on Facebook.
Yeah, we have 2 websites. We have thejosephcommunications.co.uk and thejosephcommunications.com. We are available on Facebook under the Joseph Communications and under my personal page, Michael G. Reccia. And we have a YouTube channel, the Joseph Communications. And it would help us tremendously if people subscribe to our YouTube channel, because that allows us to have a greater profile and to be noticed by more and more souls. So it would be great if you went over there and had a look at what we're doing, and if you like what we're doing, to please subscribe. We add to that channel and discuss the communications on a weekly basis, so there is something new every week. And of course, as with all YouTube footage, it's free. You don't have to pay anything. Just subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe, and you'll get, when a new video comes out, you'll get it automatically.
Yes, indeed.
So I know you do also post those on your Facebook page and elsewhere, but hey, special delivery. Subscribe and you get it right away.
And we have new messages from the Persian gentleman and recently from Joseph. So there is an addition to what is contained in the books on the YouTube channel.
Fabulous. And we want to integrate some of those into this, into the Up Convergence. We'll be playing some of those later in the week. And actually later in the week, we're going to have Michael back live. So if anybody wants to Zoom in and ask questions, you'd be more than welcome. And we're going to be in the same time slot, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time. That's a little later for Michael, but I'm sorry. We're trying to make it so we get some East Coast, some West Coast, and some UK. Well, we want to go global, international. But you haven't mentioned how they get your fabulous books and what medium they are in.
Well, they're available as paperbacks, they're available as ebooks, and they're available as audiobooks. And they are available from both websites and also from Amazon.
And you have them in several languages now?
We have them in Spanish and Dutch, and of course English at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I read. Well, Michael, it has been a joy to be able to spend this time with you as always. And thank you so much for this time. And we will see you tomorrow where we discuss Your Life After Death, which is fascinating and so helpful. All of these books, so helpful to light up a path. And what I also like about them is that the information is just given so freely. It isn't complicated. It just really, it's straight out fabulous reads. So Thank you, Michael, and the Band of Light. Your
And
life.
of course, it isn't, we don't make any profits from this. We don't take anything personally. The books exist to, we charge for the books, but the money that comes in provides more books, provides advertising, extends the awareness of the books. We don't make anything personally, and we don't wish to.
Fabulous. Thank you, Michael, and I'll see you again tomorrow.
Look forward to it very much now.